Hello and welcome back to Cool Coasters and More. Today we're going to be diving into my 100th roller coaster credit, and that is El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. I'm going to be doing a full in-depth review of the layout from start to finish, as well as giving you guys my overall opinion of the ride, and I'll also throw in a little bit of a ranking just to compare it to some of the other roller coasters that I've ridden. I had a really good time riding this roller coaster, and I just want you guys to understand what this roller coaster is really about. All right, so when I go into this layout, I'm going to be separating it into three separate sections. In the first section, I'm going to be calling the Camelback Airtime Hill section. So this includes the turn out of the station, the lift hill, the turn at the top of the lift hill, the first drop, and the two Camelback Airtime Hills. Let me start off by saying that first drop that was absolutely awesome in the back row. The Intamin trains are super long; they seat 36 people, and because of that, in the back train, you get absolutely ripped over the first drop, and it feels way steeper than it actually is. And you start off right off the bat getting thrown right out of your seat into the restraint before diving into your first pullout and coming up into the first Camelback Airtime Hill. Now, these Airtime Hills, there is nothing else that I have ridden that comes even close to the sustained ejector airtime that you get. The best way to compare this to anything else would be a B&M airtime hill, but like turned up to 11. You get absolutely thrown into the restraint, whipped out of your seat, and you are held there for a majority of the drop into the second pullout. And this is the same thing for the second airtime hill. It is back to back sustained ejector airtime, and it is elite. There's nothing else to really compare this section of the ride to any other coaster. And to experience it, you have to ride El Toro and really feel the sustained, forceful ejector airtime that you get on these two Camelback airtime hills. The next section of the roller coaster I'll be calling the boring section. Now, this includes the turnaround after the first two airtime hills, the speed hill, and the jump up into the turn right before the rolling thunder hill. Now, the reason I call this the boring section of the ride is because on any other wooden roller coaster, it would probably actually be really fun. But comparing it to the rest of what you experience on El Toro, it kind of is a little bit lackluster. So after the second airtime hill, you pop up into a turnaround. So you come up to the top, and then the train banks, does a full 180-degree turn, and then you pull up into another little airtime hill. Both of these airtime hills are not nearly as extreme. You barely even get any floater compared to what the ejector airtime you get on the first two hills. So it feels a little bit lackluster. And the same thing can be said for the airtime hill, speed hill. You do get a little bit more floater than the first two hills you experience in this section. However, again, it doesn't really live up to the extreme ejector airtime that you get on the rest of the ride, and it is a little bit of a dull spot on the roller coaster. However, it gets you a break in between the two massive ejector airtime moments you get on this roller coaster, and for that, it is kind of needed because you do need a little bit of a break before you hit that rolling thunder hill. And the last section of this ride, I'll be deeming the Twister section, and this includes the Rolling Thunder Hill, the low to the ground S curves, as well as the last couple of airtime pops you get at the very end of the ride. And now this is the best part of the ride, in my opinion, because you get a really good mix of negative G's, zero G's, and as well as positive G's. But you also get a lot of laterals thrown in, which you don't experience a lot in the first two sections of this roller coaster. I think it's the most well rounded section of the roller coaster, and it's definitely my favorite. But let's start off by talking about that Rolling Thunder Hill, and it is just, it's something else. It is crazy. I feel like it doesn't quite live up to it in the front row. To really fully experience this element, you need to be in the back car, and you get absolutely launched out of your seat and into the restraint. Like, it is a painful feeling because it is such a violent airtime moment. It is the best ejector airtime moment I have ever experienced on any other roller coaster. And this hill alone really makes this roller coaster like there is nothing else in the world quite like it, in my opinion, or at least that I've ridden. Well, after that, you go through a couple of S turns where you stay really low to the ground, and the train really carries its speed through this part. So not only do you get the positive G's of going through turns, but you also get the laterals where the train transitions from one direction to another, and you get some really awesome forces before turning around and popping up into a little airtime moment. And then the train kind of stays above the lower section of the twister part. And for that reason, it does kind of lose its speed towards the end. However, you do get some nice little floater moments to end this roller coaster. I really enjoyed this section. Like I said, it's my favorite part of the coaster, and it's really something that brings this whole roller coaster together. Like I said, you get negative G's, zero G's, and positive G's, as well as laterals. So you get about just about every force a roller coaster can throw at you in this section, and it really makes this a complete ride experience. All right, so that is the entire layout from start to finish. And now I'm going to kind of give you guys my overall opinion of the ride as well as rank it for you. So, first things first, it's definitely a little bit rough. Um, you can tell this roller coaster is not brand new anymore. I think it definitely is going to need a retracking in the near future, especially with all the incidents that it's had. Now, I know they've worked on this coaster quite a bit over the past couple of years, and they have improved it probably more than what I think. But I think Six Flags really needs to step up here and just retrack the entire ride from start to finish. I know that's an expensive thing, but I'd rather see them retract the ride than have another incident where they have to tear the thing completely down. If you can get a non-wheel seat, so that would be the middle row of any car, it's definitely a lot smoother. When you're not sitting over a wheel seat, you don't get some of the jackhammering that you would normally get, and it makes it a smoother, more enjoyable experience. I recommend the last train in the middle row. It seems like you get a little bit more airtime in that row, and it's like I said, it's definitely a lot smoother because you're not sitting on a wheel seat. But for the most part, this is a really good ride, and it's definitely an ultra elite roller coaster. I flew over like 1,500 miles, and then I drove like another 300 just to ride this roller coaster. And for that reason alone, I think it's definitely worth it. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely something you can experience at other parks. You need to ride an Intamin prefab, and this is the only one in the U.S. So unless you're going to go travel overseas to ride one, you need to experience this roller coaster specifically. And I think it's definitely an ultra elite. Now, where would I rank it among some of the other roller coasters that I've ridden? Unfortunately, I still think Iron Gwazi's better. You get the inversions. I think the airtime is a little bit more well rounded. And I think some of the stuff like the wave turn and the Outer Bank airtime hills and stuff like that you don't get on El Toro. I think it's just better. I think overall Iron Gwazi is just pretty much a perfect roller coaster, and it's hard to dethrone that. However, I would put this above Fury 325 for sure. I think you get the laterals and the airtime together on Fury 325, but you don't get the sustained ejector that you get on this roller coaster. And I think I liked that better. I also really enjoyed the twister section, which is something that you don't get on Fury 325. However, some of the other roller coasters out there are really hard to compare to this one because it's all about airtime. But I would probably rank it either at 2 or 3. I'd have to really look at my list and give you guys a specific number, but I don't think it's going to dethrone Iron Gwazi as a number one personal favorite roller coaster. But I definitely think it's worth adventuring out to this park and riding this roller coaster. All right, that is my full in-depth review of El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. Now, if you guys enjoy this content, feel free to drop a like or a comment and subscribe as well to watch future content. I really enjoyed my trip to Six Flags Great Adventure, and I plan on doing more short trips like this in the future. I want to check out Magic Mountain, as well as a couple of other amusement parks that are on my list. So please subscribe, and you'll see that content in the future, and I hope you all have a great day.